Hello, I'm Dr. Mark Mao here with Adriana Loya. We are here to discuss the second video during this time of the coronavirus. What we're starting to see is we're seeing more people apply for positions, not only in the CA world, but also in the DC world. But we're really going to concentrate today on the CA, chiropractic assistants. And what I want to discuss with you a little bit is right now is the time that as CEOs, as business owners, we need to start to plan and prepare for the next step, right? You know, I see business owners all the time, the owner-operator in their practice, and they're thinking day to day and things sneak up to them. What we need to do is we need to start planning and we need to start preparing for that next step. Where do you have exposure? Where do you have exposure on your CA team? Where do you have somebody who's doing too much? And we're gonna get to that point, but what I wanna do is I'm gonna hand it off to Adriana first. You know, so many people reach out to us and they hate to hire, they're not good at it, or they've been burned so many times. Can you explain to our listeners what we're doing at Chiro Matchmakers with the assessments and the testing that we're doing so we can get the right candidate in the right position doing the right job?
Definitely. We have a system in place that vets candidates upfront before you have to meet them. We begin with a cognitive assessment. It's a 15-minute timed assessment, and it measures general intelligence. It's a very good predictor of success in the job place, how fast they're going to learn, retain systems, procedures, learn your scripts. It's what they know, right? And then if they do score high enough, then they get invited to take our behavioral assessment, and that is how they're going to behave in your practice. It measures if they're outgoing, if they're extroverted, if they're organized, if they're systems oriented, are they going to be loyal to you? Do they have good energy levels to be able to be at the pace that your practice runs with? And so all of our assessments are EEOC compliant, so no concerns with, discrimination or anything like that. Our assessments are what makes us so successful in finding the right people for the right position that you need to fill. You know, sometimes you need to upgrade. And so I want to hand it over to Dr. Mark to talk to you about specifically that, how to know when you need to hire somebody and which position you need to fill first.
That was a great explanation. I appreciate that. And that's really the secret sauce that we bring are these assessments and tests. But how do you know who to hire next? We get that question so often. A lot of times a doc calls up, and I'm sure you have this quite often, don't you? It's like, oh, I need this person now, right? And then you start to talk to them and you're like, well, it almost sounds like you have a gap somewhere else. And what I'll challenge you with, docs, is I'll challenge you with what we call an organizational chart and accountability chart. They're two different things, and until I learned what they were like, it really didn't make sense. Like an organizational chart and accountability chart, are they the same thing? And they're really not. So let me start with the organizational chart. The organizational chart are really, if you're to build a house, they're the blueprint to what that house is going to look like. It's on paper. So an organizational chart in your office is really the positions that you have on your team. Example, I love sports analogies. I don't know about you, Adriana, but everything revolves around sports. I'm so missing live sports right now. But a sports analogy would be a basketball team. An organizational chart of a basketball team are the positions: a point guard, a shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. And a center is built differently than a point guard is. They have different skills. They have different abilities. The same thing goes for your practice. So in an accountability chart is actually who is the person that's in the organizational chart that's accountable for that position. So what we discuss in Chiro Matchmakers a lot are the different positions in your practice on SCAs. We have the front desk. We may have a check-in CA, right? And we may have a check-out CA. Then we might have a back office CA. Now that back office CA and front desk CA, they're a lot different. Now in the next video, we're going to discuss that a little bit more in depth of why it's so important to put the person with the right behavioral assessment into those positions. And then you have your TECA or your tech CA or new patient concierge. You might have your office manager or integrator. You also have your new business development director. And would you agree with me that each one of these positions are built differently, aren't they?
Completely. You know, we've had so many doctors. I'll tell you a story. I had this doctor out of California. He had had his office manager working for him for 12 years, and she was Wonder Woman. She was filling in 2 or 3 different roles within the practice. She was not only in charge of the bank accounts and the bookkeeping and the paying the bills, but she was also filling in at the front desk, and she was also doing some tech CA. Well, she ended up leaving because she was burned out. She was doing way too many things, did not have enough time to complete everything, and she was just really burned out. So she ends up leaving, and nobody else in the practice knew the things that she knew, and things were not in place for somebody else to take over right away and to be able to fill in that gap. You know, Doc, sometimes we have one team member that is an amazing team member, but they just have way too much responsibility. They're fulfilling the roles of 2 or 3 different people, and they may be great for short term, but long term, those people are going to get tired, they're going to get burned out, and that is exactly why it is vital for you to have that organizational chart, to know every single role, every single position that you have within your practice, and to have the right person sitting in that position. So if you have any questions, if you want to explore what positions you should have in your office, if you need any help with everything that we have talked about today, please reach out to Chiro Matchmakers. We are here to help you and to serve to the best of our ability. So schedule a call. Thank you so much for watching.